Alrighty, thank you for listening to or watching the Upland Down Under Podcast. Tonight's show's recording live on Thursday, the 1st of August at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. On tonight's show, we catch up on the Upland market floors, the current Sparklet action in the crypto market, including a new Sparklet-focused segment from Swally 129, new Upland Property Pre-Sale bundles for Paris sold out lickety-split, but not without the usual nonsense, and a hefty dose of drama. The associated landmarks have been won and delivered. We've got the Upland Summer Games Speed Champions team contest underway, and there are new Gamified Earnings Missions for Sizzle season and seasonal Sparklet Airdrops, which have got many in the community scratching their heads, including myself. I tried to have a quick read through it. We'll go through it tonight. The main topic for tonight's show are, of course, all about Sparklet and Paris. In show number 49, we suggested Savor the Anticipation. Number 50 was Fully Licking the Cryptoad. Number 51 last week was Sparklet now live on crypto exchanges Pamp. And tonight for number 52, we're asking Wen Moon. And we're gearing up for the normal city release of Paris at stupid AM tomorrow morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Speaking of which, for the first time ever, I'm going to have a go at dragging my sorry ass out of bed at 1:30 AM and attempting to live stream as I put my Paris city release plans into action. I've got about 2 million UPX budget and I'm planning on spending all of it. So if you're in the mood for a disheveled, no doubt grumpy and barely coherent commentator, then jump on into the YouTube feed from about 1:45 AM AEST, which, assuming I've got my timing right, is about 15 minutes prior to the city release. As I was putting the notes for this show together, I figured that actually I'm going to be significantly below 2 million because I'm going to give away a heap of UPX tonight in the show, 175,000, I believe. But we've also got QIPS on two-factor authentication, weddings and divorces in Upland that'll make you shudder, Sparklet, FOMO, and map asset delivery services. It's the first show of the month, so besides a reminder to pay your Metaventure venture due fees, we have the Midtown Terrace Genesis Node residents monthly prize draws for July, and we'll take a look at another Upland community member spotlight, courtesy of the Dynamic Node Builders team. Tonight, as I said, we'll be giving away at least 175,000 UPX, 3 map assets, and that'll take the 2024 giveaway tally to at least 1,765,000 UPX, 80 map assets, 3 vehicles, and 5 properties. All that and more on this, the Upland Down Under Podcast. Now, I got to make sure I do this right because I've been foffing it up the last couple of weeks. This one. So yes, tonight's show is again brought to you by Wanderer 1976 and his Upland Metaventure series Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories. If you want to spruce up your Upland properties with some awesome virtual goods, you're in for a treat. From beach sunbeds to basketball backboards, Wanderer 1976 has it all to make your property stand out. Wander on in and grab a bargain at one of his many showrooms located in LA, Queens, Chicago, Oakland, Birmingham, and Berlin. For a sneak peek at his 3D virtual presentation, check out his gallery on spatial.io. And I believe he's still got a campaign going on there. You can get yourself some additional prizes. And if you want to chat directly with him, reach out to him in the Upland in-game chat at Wanderer1976. So what are you waiting for? Add a little uniqueness to your properties with Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories, your one-stop shop for all things virtual in Upland. As always, all sponsor links are in the description. Yes, so this is what we're giving away tonight. We're giving away the beach sunbed and the beach ball set. So another one of those tonight. All right, if you're wondering how you can take part in the live streaming of this podcast, I dropped the StreamYard link to the live stream in the NBA server Thursday nights at about 6:45 p.m. AEST when I'm scrambling like an absolute maniac like I have done this evening. And you can, of course, also just keep your eyes out for the associated YouTube feed. Let me get out of there. And very important one again for tonight, we better do the disclaimer.
Warning, this podcast is produced by Metaverse Ventures Entertainment, contains unsolicited and heavily biased opinions which are solely the views of the individuals involved.
What do you reckon? Heavily biased opinions, Swally man? How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, heavily biased opinions, of course. What else is there? I am considering my blow up last night and continuing disappointment in certain aspects of the game at the moment. I'm doing rather well.
Yes, so that's not very disgruntled. Very disgruntled.
And I was very disgruntled with the release or the sale last night, and for the exact same reasons why we're always disgruntled with it. And it's not because I missed out, because I didn't. I was lucky enough to finally get one of the mid-range properties for about 50 UPX or something, 50,000 UPX, something like that. It's not the point that I got one and I missed out, therefore it all sucks. The point is the whole process was much, much harder to get involved in than what it normally is to mint a city. And to try and pass it off as a more accessible release is a load of BS. And I'm just calling it as that because it is an absolute effing joke that they're trying to say that's more accessible. And if anything, they've created more hurdles. And it really upsets me that that's the case.
Yeah, it's just the classic. Get up at 2 a.m. to see if it's worth getting up at 2 a.m. And then you find out it's not. It's just,
Well, I mean, I was already up. I was planning to stay up, so it's not a big deal for me. But I got up and found out that my wait time was 1 hour and 20 minutes for all 4 sales. I also checked my Mrs. account. We decided that she wasn't going to buy one anyway because she's going to go over to Saint Denis. However, I just checked hers just for Pete's sake, just to see what her options were like, and they're even worse than mine. So I'm like, well, this is definitely more inclusive. How there's, you get 4 cracks at the cherry, so to speak. How there isn't one queue for all 4, and then you just take your turn at picking which one you want, just blows my mind.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, see how we go. Something extra I got to mention tonight. Now, let me get this up here. So, if you haven't seen, Coach Funk is a very active community member, and I've interviewed him on the Metaverse and Beyond podcast series that I did. It's worth checking that one out. It was a good chat. So, Coach Funk is starting up a new podcast series. Join him and some of the other seed heads this August 1st at 9 p.m. EST for an exclusive deep dive into the Seed Heads NFT project roadmap, discover the remaining NFTs available to the public, and get the inside scoop on the NFTs going up for auction. Don't miss out on this opportunity to cultivate your digital dreams in Upland. I'm super stoked myself to be one of the seed heads, and this is definitely something that's worth checking out. Tune in and be a part of the journey. For those of us in the Down Under, I believe that's August the 2nd at 12 p.m. AEST. I would like to join in myself, but I'll be laying down, getting tattooed again. So don't worry if you can't make it. Coach Funk has said that he'll be recording the video for those who can't make it, and he'll share that the following day. So yes, go on over and check that one out. Now, I will say too, again, this evening, I am on my son Keanu's laptop. So if there's any sort of shenanigans or whatnot, apologies. We will endeavour to bumble our way through this one. And I just can't have too many tabs open at once. So we'll get there. All right, with all of that being said, let's get stuck into the Breaking Bad news and take a look at what's currently happening in the Upland markets. Swally, while I'm getting this ready, can you just give everyone a bit of a heads up on the changes we made, just in case I missed it in last week's show as to the market floors?
All right. So moving forward, doing the floors each week was getting harder and harder with more cities being introduced, more people getting locked up, more properties on the floor. And it's getting to the point where I was just getting a little bit frustrated and not wanting to do it anymore. Plus, I wanted to focus on other areas, which is my new segment tonight. So from this point forward, especially the cities that are renowned for jail properties, such as Sao Paulo or
Sao Paulo. Yep.
There's a whole bunch, especially those cheaper ones, more the FSA type style cities are definitely renowned for it. So some of these figures are going to be a little bit, take it with a grain of salt. Having said that, most of them, especially the USD side's all pretty accurate. Most of the other cities, there's so much movement that it's almost irrelevant anyway from week to week.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's I kind of reflected on what you were saying when we talked about that at the time, and it is a case where if you want a quick sale, it's a bit hard if it's the USD because the $3 floor is $3 floor. But if you want a quick sale in UPX, you kind of have to undercut those jailed properties anyway, just for the get
show it up on the radar.
Yeah. So yes, as with anything in this show or any of the other shows, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. It's only meant as a bit of a not an educational tool, a bit of entertainment, a bit of a guide for you to go on with your own further research. So you will see that I have made a few changes as well because, again, there was no market data that I could find. The old, how active certain things have been. So I've patched in the Sparklet token price here. I do cover this on the other show, and I'm sure Swally will cover it with his segment as well. But we do know that it came out the box at 0.142 US dollars. Since then, it has had a 133% drop down to 0.061 and change.
That doesn't
Market
make
cap
sense.
is 10. Yeah.
You can't drop more than 100%.
Oh, I
So
don't know.
something's wrong with that calculation. Anyway,
It might be. Yes. Market cap is 10.57 million. We can keep the other stuff the same. As I said, I did that in a big, massive rush. So, yeah, grain of salt. So, unique active wallets down almost 4%. Well, sorry, up almost 4%. What am I doing? I'm looking at green. So, back up over 60,000. Probably no surprise there. A big city release like Paris coming on board. Total unminted properties, 623 dropped. Obviously, that's going to change significantly over the next couple of days, or certainly before next week's show. And total properties for sale in USD has increased by 189, now 91,459. Floor markups, we have our first black city. I couldn't believe it when this popped up.
no, that's a bugged
LA,
property. That's a
12%.
bug. I can tell you now that's a bugged property. People have been talking about it, trying to buy it, and unfortunately, it's not uncommon for properties to bug out like this. I don't know what the reason is for it. Anyone can go try and buy it, and no doubt numerous people have. It is not the floor of Los Angeles.
That's funny, eh? Because we've had those traps. I think we've had traps like that since Fresno. There was one in Manhattan that was there for the longest time, and it just got dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people. Everybody, for some reason, thinking they were going to fly over to Manhattan and mint this miraculous property that nobody's seen.
Yeah, there was some collection properties in Queens that I wanted to pick up. This was going back 2 years, and I kept trying to contact the bloke. He never responded once. I'm saying, like, what's going on with this property? Like, I'd like to buy it off you if this is what you want to sell it for, but it was bugged out the same way as this one was. Never got a reply. So whether it's something to do with a player that's no longer in the game or something, I don't know. But it's definitely not, the floor is definitely not 12%.
Very good. And one thing that does stand out is the number of UPX floors that are now underneath 100% as well. That's just becoming more and more and more. That's kind of crazy. What do we got? 79% in Tokyo, 79% in Oakland, 77% in London, 78% in LA and Las Vegas, sorry.
Yeah, but you can still 3x the USD purchase and undercut the floor, can't you? So you can triple your UPX to USD, which is about the going rate at the moment.
Yep.
About 30% or so. So you can buy these properties at 25% market and sell them at well under 100% and still triple your UPX. So that's the only reason why it's happening.
It's amazing, isn't it? How significantly things have changed in such a short period of time. Obviously, there's a lot of factors at play there, but yes, a lot of numbers to work with. Now, anything particular jumping out? Now, of course, with us, Swally went through and did all the right numbers for this last week, so this is going to be probably take all of this with a grain of salt, I guess, till it balances itself out. What have we got? I patched in Paris. I had a look before. The cheapest property that you can buy in the secondary.
The LaSalle property, that's a jailed one, the one. So I think usually it's $175 or something.
Yeah, 170.
Yeah, so that one, it's almost a lock-in everywhere because I think it's Smiles or something like that. That's been jailed forever. Yeah, so those bigger ones like Rio, they're going to be jailed property. There's about 15, 20 properties on the floor of jail. Sao Paulo is the same deal. So that drop of 25% isn't probably actually a gain of 5% when you look at the real numbers.
Series is the same. Yeah. Not that it matters too much there, but yeah.
No, I mean, they're all so cheap. But the difference is like 1,000 or 2,000 UPX between the non-jailed and the jailed. But obviously, percentage-wise, it can be a significant amount because they're only 3,000 or 4,000 UPX anyway.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But yes, if you want to get a jump-off property in Paris ahead of tomorrow's release, you need to spend about, well, what are you there after fees? You're getting close to 30,000, which is quite hexy. So if you missed out on the bundles and you want a launchpad property, you're going to have to dive in your pocket a bit.
I'm assuming that's one of the 16,000 UPX properties that was sold. I don't know if they sold any cheap ones than that. if you need a launch pad, it's not the worst thing in the world if the location's good for what you want. I mean, it is close to double, but that little ability to be able to launch pad yourself in the right direction could be well and truly worth that little bit extra UPX. And at the end of the day, you can probably turn around and sell it for close what it's worth at mint anyway. So just FYI, so if you didn't get one or you forgot to get one or couldn't make it or whatever, not the end of the world to go buy one off the secondary market.
No. And what else we got? We got Tokyo. That's interesting. Tokyo, even though the data is, like we've discussed, might be a bit balked, a bit of a boost.
Okay, it's fine. Those more expensive cities were always fine. Every now and again, there might be one that popped up, but then that cleared or something, or the floors moved around. It didn't affect. It's only really those cheaper cities that are a real problem.
Look at this. Manhattan, now available for $18.50. It wasn't that long ago. That was the floor in bloody San Francisco.
And I was flipping them. I was buying them for $25 to $30 and flipping them for XXX months ago. Yeah, I was a bit short on UPX, so you can. I mean, that's even closer to a 4x. And they sell pretty quick. Surprisingly, they sell pretty quick too.
There'd be a lot of. Well, it's not wash trading, but that's what it kind of feels like. There would be a lot of trading there. UPX, USD
people
trading.
Getting out of UPX into the USD and taking it out of the game. Vice versa, other people bringing money in, and so there's just back and forth. So they're always swapping the floor back and forth. So it was easy. If you need some UPX, it was always a fairly easy, albeit more expensive, way to get in. But you might buy a floor for $25 and have to wait a day or two, but you could turn around and sell it for 75,000 UPX. Nice little boost to your account, but especially with the city release coming up. But that's the gamble, isn't it? If no one buys it.
Yeah, you're stuck there, sitting there with it. Look at speaking of San Francisco, $5.69.
And kind of, we just talked about that. That's a bugged out property on the floor. So Ben's got it black because it's under 20%, but it's a bugged out property. So it's not even it's obviously on the listed for sale, but you can't buy it.
Yep. But plenty of 23s there. Nashville 23. Yeah. What's that? Queens 23 as well. So yes. It's interesting. I've got all of the market cards saved. Maybe it might be interesting in the end of year show to compare the first show to the end of year show to have a look at the difference between the two.
I've got them all saved because I sent them to you all up until this week. I've got them all saved. So to be honest, I'm not seeing anything different here than you see in the actual market. The only thing you've got to take into account is this platform, a gaming platform, has a delayed effect from the actual crypto market. So when it was booming, it was a month or two, maybe even upwards of 6 months behind the actual crypto world. Definitely a couple of months. So the same's true. It's going to be the same true. So until the crypto market booms, we might get a trickle of new players, stuff like that. But I think the real growth is going to be when the crypto booms, and that's probably not going to be for some time yet.
Yeah, well, it's almost a 3-stage process, isn't it? You need the kind of the traditional stock market to do something. Crypto follows suit, and then if people have got, if they're flush with cash after that, then they look for other avenues to park it.
Crypto market, I mean, the normal stock market, I would have said 100% yes up until the last bull run, but now with all the ETF stuff like that, there's an argument that they can do its own thing. So there is an argument now, and we saw that with all the banks collapsing last year, that crypto went up whilst the stock markets went down. So the decoupling is starting to happen. I don't think it's fully happened yet. So I don't think we necessarily need the actual markets to go up for us to go up, but it certainly helps.
Yes, absolutely. We're trying to go back for the live participants giveaway. We're going to go back to the StreamYard tool this week. If you are in the YouTube chat, if you could drop a #moon, please. I'll see if that's working before we get too deep. I don't believe that works in the StreamYard. If you wanted to double up and try both, go for it. We'll see how we go. #moon.
Yeah, just chucked it in there.
Cool. Thank you, mate. All right. So, I mean, we've kind of already had a bit of a whinge and a whine about these pre-sale bundles for the Paris. How far into the weeds do you want to get with that one, Swally?
I'll summarize it. My gripe with the whole thing isn't most of the mechanics that they've put in place for this sale, because they've got some interesting stuff. I mean, there's some things I absolutely hate about it, and we can go. One thing we forgot to mention, or I forgot to mention on the extra show we did the other day. But in terms of the sale last night, like if they just went, look, we're trying something different. Here is what we're going to try out. I'd have gone, okay, well, we get screwed again, but it is what it is. But my issue with the whole thing was the way the first line was to try and sell it off as a more inclusive sale or a release for a city. And it's anything but. It is absolutely anything but. And it's not just for us Australians. I'm sure there's Americans out there that, find it hard to get during a workday to get themselves free. To just to do a mint, let alone to line up for a queue as well for the day before. Like there's multiple times. Like the hurdles now to get involved have been doubled, if not tripled, as a result of this process. So to bill it as a more inclusive or accessible way to get into the release is BS. Absolutely 100% without a shadow of a doubt BS. And that's what really upsets me with this. Like it's like a smoke and mirrors, or I don't know what they're trying to call it. I don't know what they were thinking to try and even anyway. So that's got really paid off, because I feel like that was a response to people like you and I saying, come, how about us, give us a bone for a change. And and this is like, well, this is what we're going to get. Like my first thought was that scene from Shawshank where Andy Dufresne sends a letter every week to get more books for the jail, and then when he gets some buy-off or some bullshit amount of books, he goes, well, bugger it, I'll send 2 letters a week. You're not going to flog me off like that. And I feel like that's exactly what Upland have done to us. It's gone, well, stop your whinging. Here we go. We'll look after you here. And no, you haven't. If anything, you've made it worse for the majority. Now, like I said, personally, I don't care, because I can work my work shifts whenever I want. I stayed up to some stupid hour this morning anyway. As a result, I'm planning to do night shifts again from tomorrow night onwards. So I'm going to stay up for the release tonight. So none of this bothers me personally, but it's just like, speaking on behalf of the community that gets affected by this, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like, instead of having to get up at 2 a.m. once, you got to get up at 2 a.m. twice if you want to be part of it all.
But not only that, I had an hour and 20-minute wait on top of that, getting up at 2 a.m. to purchase a property. And even then, you don't even know if you're going to get one, because there's 1,300 people in front of the queue on me. Like, just the whole system is just so dumb.
Yeah, they got to, unless they mix it up with the times, like it's 9 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. PT. It's, it's never going to be more inclusive if that's what they're going to stick to. It's just not. I mean, they can try different things.
There's multiple things they can try. First of all, there was 4 UPX sales. They're always going to sell relatively quickly. Even the 95, I was umming and ahhing about the 95,000. They're always going to sell relatively, and I think they all sold out within an hour and a half, including the USD one. Thereabouts, hour and a half, give or take. Don't quote me exactly on that. So, if you were the sort of person, it was at work or, asleep, and you waited till you woke up or got out of work, you missed out. End of story. You have to buy the secondary market. But you've got, forget about the USD sale for a sec, but think about the other 4 sales. You got 4 UPX sales last night. You registered for all 4 separately. You get 4 different queues for it. Why? Why is there not one registration? When you get your spot in the queue, you make your selection, which bundle you want to buy, and then you go back to the back of the queue. Now, there's still bundles available when everyone's had a chance. Then you want to get a different one, go for it. But why is there 4 separate queues? No doubt there's players last night that managed to snap up 4 almost instantly. One from each if they wanted to. Yet, meanwhile, there's other people that, like myself, and again, it's not about me, it's just in general, that had to wait an hour and a half in the hope, and it was down to double or single figures for that median properly for me to get one. So that's how close I came to not getting one at all. And I just think the whole system just needs an overhaul like no tomorrow. It does my head in.
Yes, absolutely. We kind of talked about it when we did that extra special Paris thing too. I think for anything that you should have to register for that, it should be you got to pony up the dough and hold it in escrow.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get it.
Yeah, how many players were ahead of me that didn't purchase? Well, okay, they may have not ever intended, like, I know my missus, she registered and then didn't get anything. So people's intentions change, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you should be able to withdraw it if you do purchase it. But the bottom line is people have to wait and hope that they get to purchase when there's people in front of them that aren't going to buy. So why why are you waiting around an hour and a half at two in the morning when it doesn't need to be like that? And then we've talked about other options like dividing into 3 lots and having different time zones for different parts of the world. There's all different options. It just seems like Upland aren't even interested in even exploring different options and how to. That's just not even in the discussions. I don't know.
Yes, pretty frustrating all around. Now, did you see the shenanigans that went on with some of the people who were able to purchase the bundle, and it took their UPX, and then it looked like they didn't have it, and I saw that this morning. I didn't see how it resolved.
I think they got on top of that pretty quickly. Like I did see when I was having my split of the dummy, I did see other people mentioning that. But then, like literally, like short time later, like Lucette or whoever it was posting that everything's been sent out and everything was good. So, I think if there was an issue, it got sorted pretty quick. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I had to wait an hour and a half. Obviously, they got it sorted by the time I got to my property. It came through relatively quickly. And to be fair, the property I got, more than happy with. Like it was a 48,000 UPX cost, and it's a 50. Yeah, I think it was 40. I think it's a 50,000 UPX base mint price or something. So, and it's a reasonable property in a reasonable location. I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. In fact, if anything, I got a little bit lucky. I don't think it's going to be a collection or anything, but it's definitely quality property for a launch pad for if I want to try and get involved tonight. But it's not that. It's the process that to get there that is my issue.
Yes, absolutely. You'll get no arguments from me on that one. Now, speaking of getting lucky, how about these 3 people? Was it? Shout out to RBM Lionheart and what's that? MJ Pan and Crowley. Old mate Crowley snagged the landmarks. That's pretty good. Good on you.
Yeah, half their luck.
Opera Comic-Qui. Is that where they had the Olympic opening ceremony thing where the Gojira was playing? The heavy metal band?
I didn't watch it. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe someone
Sounds
else
familiar
knows.
for some reason. Yeah, that was I couldn't believe it when that came on. Gojira playing for the Olympic opening ceremony. That was freaking awesome. All about that. So yes, congratulations if that's you. For everybody else, hopefully you got what you wanted, or if not, you try again tomorrow. Now, what else have we had through the week? We did have, now this was a bit of an interesting one, the Summer Games Speed Champions thing. They've been spruiking this fairly hard, and I kind of wondered why are they pushing this so hard. And then I went over and had a look at the leaderboard, and there's only 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 teams that have even had a crack at it. So there's plenty of opportunities there if you want to do it. Oh, that's July 30th, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, only 2 teams the first day had a go, and only 4 teams in the second day. So it's still open for a few more days. So if you want to get involved, the prizes there were pretty cool.
Getting 3 people together at the same time from across the world, it's just sounds like a nightmare.
Oh my god!
I think it was Elslake that put out a shout going he wanted to get involved, and I was like, "Don't look at me, mate. It's hard enough for us to get together just to chat, let alone try and start doing this sort of crap." So
yes, yeah, I'm trying to coordinate a 3. Well, it's not even a 3-way time zone, but it's 3 different people trying to coordinate for one of these interviews I'm doing, and it's a bloody nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a European and an American and an Australian, it just does not work. It just doesn't.
Talking about it. Yeah. Someone's going to get royally screwed. There's not much getting around that one. But, I mean, it looks pretty good. If you were kind of humming and hawing about it, I think it's definitely worth doing because there's some pretty cool prizes, plenty of UPX, and I like the what can you get? A custom team wearable tracksuit for first place. That's a pretty cool prize. I wouldn't mind getting hold of that myself, but yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have multiple of different events, like with different team numbers, like singles, doubles, triples, whatever, and just a bit like the Olympics, and just have multiple different events you can enter in or something like that. But it is what it is.
It goes back to what I was saying before. It's I don't know why, but it's just everything feels like last minute. Like we knew the Olympics was coming up. Yeah, you'd think you'd have a whole bunch of different things all preset in the, 2 weeks before, a month before. Get your teams ready, get organised. We're going to have team events on such and such. You're going to need 3 people, blah, 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 Do all that, in the lead up to these things. Not, okay, here it is, and hurry up, you've got a couple of days.
Well, I still think there's issues there with legality in relation to signing themselves or associating themselves too much with the Olympics. But then again, like the release of the city, I think the first word was Olympics. So I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks like, why haven't we got Block Explorer sales for the Olympics, all that sort of stuff? But maybe they're not allowed to. I don't know. But I don't know. There's a fine line. I mean, I trust that Upland know what they're doing and how to tread that fine line between what they can and can't do. I mean,
yep,
we'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, I'm surprised there isn't more. But maybe they can't do more. Who knows?
Yeah, I was trying to catch up and watch some reaction videos to that Gojira heavy metal performance at the Olympics, and there were so many of them were saying that they'd had to do like 6-10 edits because it kept getting pulled down every time they'd post it. So yeah, they're all over that sort of stuff at the moment. I guess that's kind of like the, what do they call it? Not the mementos, whatever the bloody fancy video cards, and they couldn't actually show the video for a while and whatnot for the different FIFA stuff. So yeah. Lots of stuff going on in the background there. Now, we'll move on to the new gamified earnings thing. Now, I usually lean on you pretty heavily for this. You usually read these 3 or 4 times. As I said at the start of the show, I did a quick scroll through this because I think it was Dejark and Lily Field in general or somewhere, they were saying, oh my God, I'm trying to work out what the hell's going on with this. And there was a few other people chiming in. So I thought, oh, this is interesting. So I went over and checked it out, and I had to do a double take.
I did have a quick look. Most of it doesn't seem too bad. Surprise, surprise, the new referral one's there, which is the one that's always going to get me.
Yep.
I will say, and I'm really disappointed, it's not a huge deal, but I'm really disappointed that treasure hunting was taken out of it.
Yeah, because that was an easy one that everybody could get.
Yeah, 100%. And you could do your free one each day, so it didn't even cost you anything to do. They did change it from initially to spawning one to you actually had to collect the treasure, so that made it a little bit harder. But now just removed it altogether. And look, there are some other very simple ones there, so it's not like they made it harder, so to speak. I'm not bitching about that or anything. I'm just putting my hand up for the treasure hunting community, even though I'm sort of stepping back from it myself. Going, why have we taken this out? I mean, we've got sends to new players. Okay, I get that. We're trying to give them a boost along. I don't know how we're going to find these new players without scratching our head and bashing it against the wall or something, because I don't know who's a new player and who's not. So I haven't figured that one out. I'm thinking maybe I accidentally do it when I'm treasure hunting, but how many new players are there in Washington? I'm thinking not too many. So, but all in all, I don't think it's too hard. I think most of us, if we're looking at it from the gamified earnings point of view, getting 5 pieces, no, I won't say that word, pretty simple. But there's more to it than this time, isn't there? So you want to get as close to 15 as you possibly can, if not 15. And to get all 15, it's not going to be quite that simple, which I like it. It shouldn't be simple.
It shouldn't be. Yeah, there should be stretch goals. Yeah. All right. And we'll just throw out a shout out. We'll interject to throw out a shout out. Kinda has said in chat, he wants to get down on that Rush Olympics thing. If anybody needs a third wheel, hit him up. His in-game name is Kinda, KINDR 520. Hit him up and get racing with the Kinda man. So, yes, well, this got my nose out of joint from pretty much the first sentence. It's the height of summer. No, it's freaking not. It's the height of winter. I got the freaking heater blasting behind me in the room beside the house. It's not freaking summer. You talk about inclusion. Come on.
Wearing a black hoodie because it's nice and cold. I mean, hot here. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, that is what it is. So, yeah, that's of all the things to get upset about, that's probably the last thing I'm worried about. But anyway. But yeah, again, it's that tunnel vision view of the world rather than going, oh, hang on, not everyone's in summer. But I mean,
yes,
it is what it is.
It is what it is, yes. So we have an exhilarating new set of missions for gamified earnings, as well as seasonal Sparklet airdrops that players can earn. Oh, okay, that all sounds good. As I said, I haven't read through this, so bear with me while I bumble my way through this. Sizzle season kicks off on August 1st, which is tomorrow, and runs through to September 15th. Yes, that's all standard. We're shaking things up with a major adjustment. There are 15 tasks in total, but players only need to complete 12 to achieve the maximum yield. So that's good. So there's a bit of room there, flexibility, choice.
And 12
Yeah.
to get maximum.
There's
Because okay, sorry, just clarify that. So in the past seasons, it was you had to get all 15 to get the 15.1. So you're saying you only need to get 12 now for 15.1?
That's what they're saying. Yep.
Okay, well that's achievable for everybody, regardless of almost.
There's a few in there that I looked at and thought, well, I ain't doing that one. I ain't doing that one. I ain't doing that one. And my ain't doing that one started stacking up. And I thought, I'm going to be in trouble here. But then I worked out that, no, you only need to do, I think you need to do 5 to get the regular boost.
But there's a reason why you're going to want to do these. If you haven't read this, you'll get to it.
Oh, all right. It says this change offers more flexibility. Yeah, we covered that. If you wished for higher UPX earnings last season, fret not. Sizzle season is packed. Okay, Sizzle season missions. Okay, starting. Oh, that's just the standard. Blah blah blah. All right. Yeah. And we're still on these frickin' leaderboards. What happened to the in-game checklist that was super coming soon? That's been
we got it for the Sparklet
eventually
drop.
Soon.
We got the 10,000. Like for those that have bridged in Sparklet.
Oh, the mission. 10, yeah.
So they can do it.
They can do it. Yes. So what do you have to do? Daily dedication, log in at least 25 days during the season. Easily done. Streak Seeker, log in 7 days straight. Easily done. Property Pioneer, mint 3 properties during the season. We'll do that this evening or in the very early hours of the morning. That's an easy one. Ornament Enthusiast, apply any Sizzle season ornament for at least 3 weeks. I've got that sorted out. Thanks to Umbrella Boy and his awesome eye ventures or his eye structure ornaments. That was another good interview I did over the weekend. Make sure you check that out.
Are those eye ones Sizzle? I haven't looked at what Sizzle season ornaments I've got, if any.
Yes.
So that's interesting about this.
Yeah, he's what is it? Artifact. His eye artifact. It's one he's advertising on X at the moment, so you can check that out. It'll be he'd have that all over bloody Upland as well. So definitely worth checking that out. I believe shout out to Shaktalan and the Tosh Shack. I believe they just released a series as well that's all to do with Sizzle season.
Yeah.
So those
stuff.
Those. Oh, did you? Yeah.
No, so they've got some fantastic stuff coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. So those first 4 ones, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Master Builder, complete the construction of 5 structures. I'll probably do that just because I've got all of this extra Sparklet and it's just sitting around. I'm just building stuff. So
your Spark stack dominates mine now these days, which we'll have that discussion another night. But again, unless you're a brand new player, that shouldn't be hard. I mean, Sparklet is never going to get cheaper than it is now. I built a large factory for less than 100,000 UPX. So, so that anyone that complain that they can't do that in the season, I'm sorry. And this season is probably worth paying the money to do that. To be fair.
Yep.
If you don't have enough Spark.
So I'm 5 for 5 at the moment. Item Alchemist Burn Exchange 3 items.
This one's a question mark for me. So that'll be that'll be your totems, like when you swap a shit one and you with your potions to exchange it or something like that. I don't think it's exchange like you and I swapping a map asset with each other or something like that. I think it's the exchange of if you give up these 3, you get 1 back type thing.
Yeah. Because that'd be too easy. Yeah, and it doesn't say swap. Yeah, all right. No. We did talk about that. Like for some of these things, if you're on the edge, it may be worth because some of these legits, I believe, have a burn mechanic. I forget, what did we say? There was somebody chimed in and said which ones could do it. So that's a maybe, but yeah, it's not something I'm going to be chasing. Number 7, referral champion, a referral bonus by referring others. Referred players must level up. Won't be doing that one. So what am I? 5 for 7 at the moment. Metaventure shopper, buy 3 items from Metaventure. That's easy. Airdrop connector, connect your Upland account to Chapter 2 airdrop. Already done that, so that's easy.
Everyone should have done that already.
Yeah. Yep. Visitor Explorer, visit 5 different visitor properties with a paid send. Yeah, that takes a bit of work.
To work out who they are, that's the problem. So unless you get into that channel, the new player channel, and look at them and see what addresses they're posting in there, it's probably the only way I can think to easily find that. So for me being in Washington, I'm guessing that's going to be few and far between for me, unless I find one person, new player down there, because it's just too expensive for new players. But it is what it is. Like, that's my biggest win. So I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a blockchainy way that you could do that. Might be. Or you could go to Stockton, Trent, and any of these cities that still have,
Yeah, but are they still
unminted FSA properties.
You got to click on each one and then you see what their level is, and it's just a pain in that. So it'll be, I mean, it's possible, and you bet a better chance, but
I know how you could do it. Go to the Miles B Chain account in the in-game chat.
Yeah, where they're all asking for you to send to them.
Yeah, you know how you got to. If you click on how can I do this? Let me do this. So let's go here. I'll press this. Hopefully, old mate MDE Santa has got his sorted out. No, 0 followers. Or is it loaded? So I can click on his followers. See there? So you can scroll down
and see if they've got any cities. But that's still a painful way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you can find one player and give him 5 cents. So I give them 5 cents. It shouldn't exist. If you're lucky
hefty,
enough. For most cities, that's probably not too bad. But like I said, I'm not going to get a new player in Washington, so I'm going to have to travel to a different city just to do it. So it is what it is.
Yep.
Like I said, if that's my worst gripe, I'm doing okay.
Yes. City traveler traveled once for a car between 2 different cities. I mean, if you've got a car, that's super easy to do. I'll just go from San Francisco over to Oakland.
Yes, I'll go
and visit. I was just going to say, I'll go and visit the band's showroom and pick up some more graveyards or something. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, probably Stockton would be my best bet, wouldn't it? So it's about an hour in the car from Washington in Upland, not in the real world.
Yep. Sparklet importer brings Sparklet any amount into Upland. So that means from
any amount
exchange.
Minimum of 10. So we'll throw that out there. It has to be, but again, 10's nothing. But that doesn't exclude anybody. And most of us, if you're not buying Sparklet at the moment, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you're nuts. In my opinion, not financial advice, but that's not a big deal. Like, there is a small Ethereum cost to that as well to do that, but if you've got a spare $50 or something like that, you should be buying a little bit of Spark, in my opinion, if you play this game. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, as you will know if you know me, I'm super hyperphobia about crypto tax, so I might be able to dust off some Ethereum I've got laying around in MetaMask and run it through Uniswap just to get the minimum amount there. It's a potential. It's not something that I'm going to look at doing, but if I was at 11, I might look at kicking that over for 12.
If I was going to have a punt, that will be a challenge for the next 3 seasons. Yeah. So,
and number 13, Track Hero participate in 2 staked races. Now, these next 2, this is where I was going. Well, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that.
Ordinarily, I'd be 100% with you, but you'll see why in a sec. Why you probably change your mind on it. And again, you and I might be a little slightly different depending on how much time we want to dedicate to this game for the reward that you get. So, given that we've received some decent rewards of late, but keep going. You'll see in a minute.
Yeah, well, it's a shout out back to Coach Funk and the Seed Heads project. He's currently working on a system related to that at the moment, where one of the kind of things you need to do to progress to the next level is to take part in a staking event for racing. But it's just so hard with whenever I'm available to do that, there's nobody around. It's freaking ghost town everywhere else. So it's pretty hit and miss. Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Kinda's got a good point there too. The leaderboard for visitors. It's another way.
Yep.
I'm sure people come up with better ways to find visitors, so I'm sure we'll figure it out easy enough. Yes. They're just saying to find visitors to send to, so that's not a bad little tip.
And badge collector, receive a badge to your profile. Oh, I think I got an email about some new badge. I wonder if that was.
Yeah, they probably got it yesterday. It doesn't count.
I thought I saw something.
All right, so again, this is
it would be.
All right, Before we move on to the next bit, this is my first thought about this. Two things. First of all, the season started. We haven't heard a single thing about this season's pass yet to burn. I was talking about this earlier with L-Slack. I was aware of this. It crossed my mind why they didn't release this anytime in the last 2 weeks and just go, the season's come and get your badge and burn it before the first Tuesday of the season, which happens to be the first day of the season. I don't know. They could have easily have done that. So why they haven't done that's got me beat. So my thought is two things, my best thought is either gone with the first day of the season's a Tuesday, we'll let it go and we'll start it from the next Tuesday onwards, which means are we only going to get 5 drops instead of 6? I don't know. I don't know how all that's going to work, or maybe it works out there's an extra Tuesday. I don't know. I don't know how the maths works. So either that. So there's been absolutely, as far as I'm aware, there's been absolutely no word about the Sizzle season pass for the drops for this season. So either they've done that and they're going to delay it a week because of the issue of it being on the same day. Trying to buy, burn, and have the drop done on the same day, it just doesn't make sense. Like I said, they could have tried to do it. They could have had it started 2 weeks ago and then had it all under control, but maybe they're busy with Sparklet and everything else. I don't know. Either that or there's some major changes coming to the season passes, such as they're getting rid of it or major changes or something like that. So that to me is the lesser of the two options. I think it's just that they're going to delay it a week because it happens to be Tuesday happens to be the first day of the week of the season. But yeah, I'm interested to see why. There's been no mention of it as far as I'm aware. If there's someone else knows otherwise, by all means, point me in the right direction. But I haven't seen any mention of what's happening with the season pass. And this is from someone begrudgingly at the moment, but still has bought every season pass and burnt every season pass as directed for basically no reward. But that's another argument.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah, because they do the drops on the Tuesday. I was thinking, well, maybe they're trying to be kind by knowing that it doesn't kick off. They're going to hold on until it actually starts. So once you get it and you burn it, you can get your badge. But yeah, you're right. Unless they change the day.
We saw they created the FOMO for these passes last season by doing that BS structural blueprint thing they gave away by having all of them. Again, that's a whole other discussion, argument, whatever. So now they've gone and created a whole new demand for us, and then it's going to be people that are going to buy it and not burn it, just so they got it in their back pocket in case something like that happens again. Now, Upland probably won't do that again, or maybe not for a very long time. Who knows? So they've gone and created more of a demand or FOMO. So I'd be really surprised if we didn't get them this season. I'd be really, really surprised, but. Why they didn't just do it 2 weeks ago and go, well, here's next season pass. It starts in 2 weeks. Get it bought and burnt in time. I don't know.
Wait and see. It's all yet to be revealed. All right. So this is what you're telling me about seasonal Sparklet drops? But wait, that's not all. Steak knives. We also have exciting season airdrops for players. Upland has taken, so it's been done, a snapshot of awarded Sparklet tokens on the day of the TGE. For the next 3 seasons, there will be 2 drops each season to reward players who held Sparklet during the snapshot. The amount of tokens you receive will be based on several factors. All right. Sparklet won and earned. Sparklet snapshot calculation will be Sparklet held minus Sparklet purchased. First, the number of Sparklet tokens you hold at the time of the snapshot will be considered. If your current Sparklet count is lower than your original count, the lower number will be used for the calculations. Okay, so if you sell it makes sense that you're going to get less. This is to ensure players are rewarded in this drop for their pre-TGE awarded Sparklet that they have kept inside of Upland. All right. Additionally, your multiplier will increase based on the number. This is what you're talking about. Your multiplier will increase based on the number of Gamified Earnings seasonal missions you complete during each season. Interesting. So that gives you a reason. Like, if you get the 5 done and 12 is too much of a stretch, well, you just may want to do 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. Interesting. I like that. So Gamified Earnings, if you do 1, well, obviously everyone's going to go for the 5, right? Because they want their Well,
that's going to be the Gamified Earnings target, but
that's just that part. Yep.
But obviously, you're not going to stick this season, especially. I don't know what's going to be like going forward, but this season, especially, you are going to aim for as high up this list as you can get, and you'll see why. Keep going down. even from 14th to 15th, 0.6 is still, I don't know, 0.6 of what? We don't know what the bottom number that we're multiplying it with, but it's still a reasonable number to be multiplying. It's more than the gamified earnings jump.
Yep. Points are calculated by multiplying your minimum Sparklet count by your mission multiplier. Okay, this is probably the point where everybody's eyes started to glaze over. Moreover, bridging in at least a 500 net Sparklet during each season will boost your multiplier by 0.25. Okay, giving you a better chance to earn more tokens. That I'm definitely not going to be doing that. Unless one of the Australian exchanges opens up to sell Sparklet, where I can just very easily dollar cost average. The upcoming seasonal snapshot dates are as follows. But then, you know what? I was thinking about that. This is where it gets kind of weird. I'm not a financial analyst. I'm not a freaking tax accountant or anything like that. But all of the dollar cost averaging that I do, usually you buy your crypto on your exchange, your Bitcoin or whatever, you hodl it for a certain period of time, and then you move it off to your cold wallet or whatever you want to do. I don't know how that's going to play if you move that into a game. Is that still considering hodling then? I don't know. That's a freaking loophole.
How can you not compare Upland as a centralized exchange? Okay, we can't buy and sell like a normal exchange, but they've got custody of our coin, same way a centralized exchange does. I mean, if you put your money on a centralized exchange and then stake it, like how's that any different to putting it on here and playing the game?
Well, you know that, and I know that. Imagine trying to explain that to your bloody accountant or the ATO.
Yeah, I think even go over their head even. So I don't know. Look, I'm not an accountant. I'm not going to comment.
Yeah, that's why I just steer way clear of that sort of stuff. So, all right. The upcoming seasonal snapshot dates are as follows, with the corresponding airdrop occurring a few days later. Okay, These numbers and conditions are subject to change, of course, as they always are. How gamified earnings work. The earnings increase in Upland is structured around the completion of tasks. Yes, we know that. Okay, so here's where it gets really complicated. One task, multiplier 1.2x, just one task. This is what we want. So I'm going to skip all that. So that's the current established norm.
Gamified earnings, yeah.
Yeah, so five tasks completed.
But only needing 12 to get the maximum 3.1. That's the big change from last season or previous seasons.
Yes.
And that's more than achievable, I think, for pretty much everybody in the game. Well, maybe not brand new players, but anyone that's established. So there's no reason why we can't all get to the 15 point.
Let me check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Saying I can do that. 6. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's definitely doable.
Yeah, 100% it is.
Definitely doable. Yeah. All right.
And unlike other seasons where you stop at 5 or just stop caring at 5, like I pretty much have for the last 3 seasons, there's a really good reason why you need to sort of focus. The only one I cannot figure out how I would even get close to doing, because I just don't have the reach or the influence, is to get a new player into the game. Other than cheating the system, which I hope no one does, but I'm sure people do. I'm not willing to go to that length. I just don't see the point. It's not worth doing. But yeah, I mean, I can put out my Twitter, my referral link all day long. No one, any people that are seeing anything that I put out are other Uplanders. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, so all of that gamified earning stuff, the changes to that, I like that. As I tell people endlessly, I'm just a dickhead playing a game on my phone. I'm an absolute knucklehead. So this Sparklet stuff, I'll probably have to read that another 10 times and then still get Swally to explain it to me in DM. So a lot of that's gone over my head. But all in all, I like that they're trying something new. Maybe I guess you're going to speak to, when we get to your segment here in a second, you're going to speak about the massive amount of Sparklet that's being pumped in.
That's another week's problem. This week is just purely about, this week I put a lot of work, in fact, quite a few hours into sort of setting it up. It's more about focusing on how we got to where we are today rather than what's moving forward. that whole what Upland are doing, all these airdrops, that's a whole different ball game altogether. So my views on that, maybe that'll be next week's thing once I start understanding a bit more about that. But I don't have my head around how much money. We certainly still don't know if us owned Spark owners are going to get anything. I haven't heard a single thing. As far as I know, there's nothing written anywhere that says we're going to get it. Just some post or something from someone from the team saying that.
We were told. Yeah.
But where is that in writing? Like, show me the documentation that says we're going to get something. And then on top of that, how much are we going to get compared to the purchase Spark? And it doesn't, and I was saying before we kicked off, and I said this on the Slack show, there is no number that you can give me. Like, if the purchase Spark was a 4X, and people argue that it's different, but, until you can show me proof that I'm wrong, then it's not a 4X. What number instead of a 4X would be making both sides of the community? Because you're dividing the community here with dividing the Sparklet. People are either a treasure hunter or they're a poacher. There's a little bit of people that will sort of cross over for both, but vast majority of players are either one or the other. And if you're trying to say that a treasure hunter's Spark isn't as valuable as a purchaser's Spark, I'm going to have massive issues with you. Like, I'm going to argue to my death about that, and I have good reasons as to why. But I know that there's people on the other side of the coin, and I've seen you interview some of them that say that they're dirty, that treasure hunters can acquire more Spark than they have by not buying any of it.
Yep.
And yes, we can argue this all day long, and they'll probably never. I mean, both sides have got good arguments, and I think both sides, could successfully argue and have a great debate over who's right and who's wrong. And I don't think there'd be ever an actual answer. But to say that one's more valuable than the other, I think it's a load of crap. And I think we're about to see that if we do it all. And I, for one, are going to be really upset if unless we get the same amount as purchase Spark. So anyway, we'll save that for another episode.
I can answer directly one of those points you've raised. When we had the UCM broadcasters meeting in the lead up to all of this being announced or whatever, I asked in the chat, and X1 clarified specifically that there was definitely going to be a separate allocation for purchased versus awarded Sparklet, and that there was an assumed higher reward going to be allocated for those who purchased as opposed to those who earned their Sparklet.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can... Like I said, that can be a whole nother episode. We can debate that and argue, and I can throw up the reasons why I think that's BS. And again, or you can go listen to my argument with Elslack on our 4-hour or 45-hour episode the other day. But we just start talking. We don't even look at the time. Like, I looked at it at one point and went, holy crap, we can go 2.5 hours. Like, we just chat. So, cool. I mean, if anyone else wants to come and go as we ask questions, whatever, we'll stop. We just chat about whatever's chatting about. But this did come up. Elslack was on my side in relation to treasure hunters, but like I said, I outlined why part of the reason why I think treasure hunters are going to get a raw deal here, and look, we'll have to wait. So there's no point crying over something that hasn't happened yet, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, personally, I don't know what the delay is. Like, we had the purchasers airdrop come through. I was assuming that the other one for the earners was going to come soon after. Yeah, hopefully that comes sooner rather than later.
We get punished because you guys are all building and I'm waiting.
Yep.
Now, actually, speaking of this,
a bunch.
This is another theory that I've got in relation to Spark and what's going on, because we all know that the Sparklet amount that to build a building or to create something in your factory or whatever is going to change. At some point in the future, that is going to change. How much that changes, we don't know, and how that changes exactly, we don't know. But my best understanding or best guess is there's two options. One, everything's just going to go up. So let's say, for argument's sake, 4x. Everything's going to go up 4x from this point forward, including current builds, and they'll just increase how long it takes to build each one. Or, and I think this is probably a very good possibility. From this point onwards, anything you build or put in a factory from this point onwards will cost this much more. So all your current builds are whatever they are, and everything else after this point that you start today will cost 4 times as much. If I'm right with that, and you plan to start building some factories and showrooms, get them all set up right now, with your minimum amount of
Yes.
stock, even if they sit there for 2 or 3 years each or something like that, because ultimately you could be saving yourself a hell of a lot of time in the long run. But that's just my theory. Worst case scenario, I'm wrong, and it just goes up, and then you're at the same place anyway.
Absolutely. All right. I think we covered most of the general contemporary news, and that brings us on to the main topics for the show. We'll cover the Sparklet stuff first. So yeah, as I said at the get go, a few weeks back, we said we were talking about there wasn't anything much going on, save of the anticipation, and then we got some news that kind of had us fully licking the Cryptoad, and then of course last week we had Sparklet now live on the exchanges, and everybody wanted to pump it. And tonight, of course, we're asking Wen Moon. Speaking of which, if you are on the YouTubes, drop the hashtag in there for the live participants giveaway, hashtag Moon. So, before we kick over to you, Swally, do you want to just have a quick look at what's happening in the charts? Because something's kicking off now, or is that going to be part of your spiel?
The charts, what, for the Spark? No, if you want to do it, I'm not talking about price at all. Well,
Okay.
not really.
Yeah, we'll just have a quick. Right, we'll just have a quick look at that, and then we'll kick on over to you. So, what do we got now? Now, I mean, it's been so interesting to follow along with this. I've been following it mostly on X. There's doom and gloom. There's FUD. Oh, it's all gone to hell. Blah blah blah. Woe is me. She's gonna go to zero. Blah blah blah. And then on the upside, you got people cropping the bloody chart, half the chart out, and saying, "Whoa, she's pumping." You know, we're skyrocketing and we're off to the moon. Wow, it's a bit early days for anything like that, surely. But interesting to see the price has dropped a cent almost. And if we go on over to the BitGet chart, that kind of shows you what's been happening there. That's a 15-minute. We go to the hourly. So there's a bit of a sell-off happening at the moment. So it'll be interesting in the morning how far that gets down to.
I will say, if you zoom out a little bit, we are forming what's called a cup and handle pattern. Normally, that would be considered a bullish pattern. It's only, you can see the cup at the bottom there. You got the handle. The handle's already gone a bit longer than it probably should have, so maybe it's not going to happen anyway. They don't always play out the way it's supposed to. I think they say the best case scenario is about 70%. So with that cup and handle pattern, there's a chance that it may have broken up. It wouldn't have been much anyway. It wouldn't have got back to 14 cents. It's just the depth of that cup's a part of it, so to speak. So that probably would have taken us back to about 10, maybe 11 cents, something like that. But you just can't put any emphasis on that, A, because the coin's so new, and B, because it's so new, so little, there's so much can affect it so significantly that if you're trying to chart and trade this coin, you're asking for a bruising. You're just not going to get anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's people that still don't have ready access to a lot of that. There's people that have received a whole bunch of Sparklet, but there's the holding periods associated with all of that. So yeah, that's way too early to be saying anything about anything really.
Well, there is that, but at the same point, if people let's say dropped a whole lot of Spark, it means they already had a decent amount of Spark to begin with. So yes, the Spark that they got given can't be sent out for 30 days plus 2, but the stuff you already had can. So if you say, for example, if you wanted to get rid of 30 Spark, there's 30 Spark you could get rid of quite easily and still keep your 60.
Yeah, good point.
So
yeah, that's a good point.
Has all the drops affected the price? Absolutely, it has. Without a shadow of a doubt, will the future drops affect the price? Absolutely, they will. But we know this, so you got to factor that into your consideration with the coin when you're looking at the bigger picture.
All right, now we're going to kick on over to you to take the reins. Did you want to try and show that?
No, I just did a picture for it. It'll do the same. It's only a 10-second video, but I just did one of the. Right. It's an old meme that's on the internet for ages. The Simpsons just picked up on it. And I was but I don't want to push the boundaries of what we can and can't get away with copyright laws and whatnot.
No worries, mate. Over to you.
All right, let me just start sharing entire screen. All right, so before we kick off, I will start to say I am absolutely, by no stretch of the imagination, any form of expert or financial advisor. The only difference between me and a stray dog is I've watched a bunch of videos and paid attention to the last 4 years in the crypto world. So This is my view of what's happened with Spark. You may agree, you may disagree. It's entirely up to you. I'm certainly not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. So from this week forward, and it's going to vary exactly what I do and what I speak about, but I'm hoping to start to develop some tools and ways to report on Spark as to what's happening with it and developments, etc., similar to how Rodrigo does with the community. What do you call it? The
neighborhood ratings thing.
The neighborhood rating thing, yeah, that's the one. So
Yep.
I kind of want to be like the Rodrigo of Sparklet, if that makes sense. But this week, given that Sparklet's only a week old, and I've seen a lot of people making various comments about Sparklet, and both positive and negative, albeit the positive seems to be about how much they got given. I keep going to use the word dump, got given, and negatives is about the current price. And I've said it multiple times before, price is irrelevant. It's just a number that makes no. I mean, I know it's not as simple as that for most people to go, but it's everything. It's not anyway. So we're going to start this segment, which is, and I put the hype in the wrong spot, but it's the Sparklet HODL information and Thursday report. So, all right. So slide one. So have you so since Spark has been released, have you been feeling any of these symptoms at all in the last 7 days or so? Your shock, anxiety, fear, frustration, regret, panic, disappointment, guilt, despair, denial, anger, sadness, confusion, embarrassment, or acceptance? I would suggest a vast majority of people have in the community. I'd say number one, shock was probably the number one thing I've seen people probably comment the most about. By all means, people like you, Ben, or anyone else, if you've got any questions about anything, please ask, because I love feedback or clarification or whatever. I honestly, and I was looking at this and thinking about it quite significantly today, I can honestly say that none of these feelings crossed my mind in the last week in relation to the Spark price. And that's hand on heart, God's honest truth. And I'll explain why. And this is all I've done today is try and put onto a screen what's in my head and try and put other people on the same page. So, friendly advice, we are in the middle of a campaign to try and get new players to the game. And it's not a good look from the Upland point of view of people whinging and bitching about the current price of Sparklet and saying it's dead and it's horrible when you don't understand what it is that you're whinging about in the first place. Now, it's not to say that I know what I'm talking about all the time either. And if I've made some mistake or something's wrong, by all means, reach out and constructively explain what I got wrong. And I will discuss it with you. And if need be, I'll retract it or update it or something like that. But I mean, if you don't know or don't understand what's going on with the Sparklet price, learn from somebody else before you start opening or complaining or whatever. And that goes to everybody, not just one or two. There's been a few content creators I've seen make certain comments. There's been people on Discord, Twitter, stuff like that. It frustrates me when people that don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, we'll move on. So I'm here to say that everything is fine. Yeah, it sounds a bit BS, doesn't it? Because like the picture suggests, it looks like we're on fire, we're dumping, everything's worthless, but I'll explain to you why I think everything is fine, and we're exactly where we should be. And if we were anywhere else, I'd be more concerned. That's all right. So to start this, we're going to look at some of the bigger coins. We're going to look at some other categories of the crypto world. So the bigger coins being Bitcoin, ETH, ADA, XRP, and Sol. I know there's probably 1,000 other coins I could have added to this list, but I haven't got all day, and it took me long enough just to do those ones. Because Ben mentioned meme coins last week, and there's probably going to be the leading coins or leading group of coins or sector for this bull run. That's what the experts are saying anyway. It's probably worth to keep an eye on them, but to try and compare Sparklet to a meme coin, I take absolute offense, and I'm sure Upland do, because they're not even remotely the same. Meme coins have one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to dump on you at a certain price. Whereas Sparklet is most definitely not created for that. Doesn't mean it can't do it, but it's not created for it. And then, of course, we've got some gaming coins in there. EOS, because it's not a gaming coin, but obviously Upland's built on it. From what I understand, it's pretty much the only thing that's operating on it, or very bloody close to it. And then obviously Axie, the leading game from last crypto run. Gala it could be argued that Gala is a direct competitor. I mean, they're a platform to produce and have games that are played and run from it, whatnot. And then obviously Standard Manor, we all know who Standard Manor are or what they are to a certain extent, and that's obviously the level we want to be at. And I would argue that every Uplander already thinks we're above that level.
Yep.
Of those two. Anyway, so I'll go through these really quickly. So all those coins are here, but I had ChatGPT help me out with some of these figures. And it's amazing what you can do with AI these days, as you well know. But so I'm just going to go through this relatively quickly. So you go back and look at this anytime you like. But in Bitcoin, probably the safest and most riskless crypto you can invest in, dropped 76% in roughly 12 months, or exactly 12 months. Moving on quickly, Ethereum 81, number 2 coin. Cardano top 10 coin, 92%. Ripple top 10 coin, maybe just still, I don't know, 85%. Solana, probably the most popular coin of the last bull run, 96%, but obviously FTX had a little bit of play in that, even though they technically weren't involved. Dogecoin, a very popular meme coin and crowd coin, 93%. Shiba, the list goes on. Tron's a bit different because I put that in just for you, Ben. Whilst it looks better because it's only 74%, it failed to reach all-time high on the last bull run, which to me means the coin's dead.
It's a weird one. No, it tends to buck the trend. Like everything else will be falling, and it rises. It's a real weird one, Tron.
Any coin that doesn't reach its previous all-time high from the previous bull run is a real problem because you got inflation and stuff like that. It should automatically get it back to the same level. Okay, XRP also fits that category, but there's a big reason as to why XRP didn't get to its previous high in the last bull run. It gets a pass, but obviously we'll see what happens in the next bull run. EOS, I put that in there just because Upland's on EOS, so it obviously affects Upland to a certain extent. But again, 93% or basically 94%. Axie Infinity, absolute boom coin from the last bull run. People, especially in certain countries, made a crap load of money through it. 96% down. Gala, 98.2% down. Doesn't help the founders decided to have legal battles with each other and try and sue each other, but down a fair bit. Sandbox, I have had some involvement with, down 95%, and Decentraland also 95%. So we're trying to compare ourselves, especially to those last two, and they're both down 95%.
Yep.
So how does this affect Upland? Well, because Upland's a crypto game, always has been. I know people out there try and argue that it's not. It absolutely always has been. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's played by crypto, not exclusively, but definitely by a vast majority, or it's definitely by a percentage anyway, we'll go with that, of the community are with a crypto background. So it's always going to be influenced by crypto, even if it wasn't a crypto game, but it's a crypto game. End of story. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if there was any doubt, the fact that Sparklet is now on an exchange and publicly traded removes any doubt. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't need to go on that anymore. So obviously it's always been on the blockchain. So here's a list of things that make Upland and Sparklet special and therefore not subject to the market conditions. Anyone else want to add to that? Because I can't think of why Upland's special or why they shouldn't. I mean, they can do things that can buck the trend to a certain extent by making their game better, stuff like that. But ultimately, we just saw, including Bitcoin all the way down to EOS, every coin was down best part of 90% or worse. So why would Upland be any different?
But the difference has always been put out there about Upland has the best, most established community, which can be true, but it's not going to.
Are you trying to tell me that Upland has a better community than Bitcoin?
No,
No, of course not.
Yes.
Bitcoin dropped 80% or whatever it was. I mean, Ethereum 83% or something like. To try and say that Upland hasn't dropped 90%, I think we can see that in the floor prices of the properties. Like there is absolutely no doubt that Upland has dropped something like 90%. To back that up, here's the chat. Anyone can go look at this analytics on Upland's website. I had plugged that into.
How did you get that? I've been trying to find that for 2 weeks.
It's got July 10, 24. I just Googled it, brought it up, and plugged it in, and I looked at that and I said to ChatGPT, summarize this for me.
Yeah. It's
And I
good at
think
that.
that summarization right there absolutely nails it. The drop of up.
Can you just read that out?
Yep. So the drop from UPX peak to the recent lows is a decline of nearly 90%. So nearly. So we're under 90% as opposed to everything else, especially Gala and Decentraland and Sand that were 95% respectively. Okay, this mirrors the broader trends seen in the traditional cryptocurrency markets during the bear market. However, since UPX, we don't, anyway, the rest of it. So that's just talking about that it was enclosed in the game. So basically, it summarizes saying that from the peak to its low, there's been a decline of 90% in the activity in Upland. So we don't have a price that we don't have a price that we can compare and look at and see that it's dropped 90%, but we can certainly see the actions. And to be honest, all the prices on the charts are as human behavior. That's all they're tracking anyway. So this is tracking the exact same thing, human behavior, and Upland's had a 90% drop, which on face value is better than everybody else. So we're better than Upland. We're better than Decentraland and Sandbox. So what are we upset about? So this is what people are upset about, because for 5 years everyone's going, well, a Sparklet. I know we've only known that name for a few months, but basically we've been buying Sparklet at 46 cents a Sparklet for 5 years. So effectively, we've all been buying the top for 5 years. I said this on the show numerous times when we talked about its release and whether people are going to be selling it upon release. I said, yeah, you can, but you're going to be selling it at a massive loss. Because we have been conditioned for 5 years to think this is a ceiling. It was never going to be anything but. And then all of a sudden, we've gone from here to its release, and bang, it hits a 3.5 cent, whatever it was, bottom.
Yeah,
so people are like,
it's the bottom.
But because it happens in basically what they feel like is instant, which is like a week, people panic or, without understanding what's really going on. When the chart should have really looked more like this. So whenever we don't know exactly when the top would have been, and we can assume that it'd be somewhere where I started the slope, and there would have been a steady decline of what its value was over time. Yeah, we'd be saying the same thing as we are with the mint prices of properties and stuff, but price would have dropped. So if we assume that Sparklet would have dropped 90% like the UPX transaction suggests, which is still better than our direct competitors such as Gala, Sandbox, and Decentraland, whom all dropped more than 95%. Now, the difference between 90% and 95%, whilst it doesn't sound like much, is huge. It's from a high to a low, the difference is huge. It doesn't sound like it, but it is. So the math is very easy to figure out. 10% of 46 cents is, oops, I went the wrong way. 4.6 cents. Where are we sitting at the moment? Smack bang in that range. It's not rocket science. It's straightforward maths. It's nothing confusing about it. If we were sitting anywhere near 46 cents, I'd be like, there's something not right here. There is something not right.
Bucking the trend.
We are the duck out of water would be some sort of weird anomaly in the crypto space that just would not compute. So when I said to you on that first screen, none of those feelings crossed my mind because I expected a price around maybe not 3 or 4 cents, but certainly down this range, because the math didn't say anything else. And Upland knew that, which is why I think they forbid you guys from talking about it. Because they knew that the price was going to be under 10 cents. So I had under 10 cents in my head the whole time without being able to just say it. So why the long fight? So why is everyone so upset about the price being so low? I don't get it. Like, you play the game, you love the game. What's the issue with the price? I mean, like I said, we're doing better than our competitors. We're actually smashing them, if you ask me. We're absolutely destroying them. You can see why Sandbox wants to join up with us, because they're looking at what we're doing and going, we need a bit of that. All right, so a bit of hopium. So yeah, it sucks we're down 90%, but it's exactly where the rest of the market is. We're not doing anything special. We're not doing anything worse than them. In fact, if anything, we're doing everything better than them. So those exact coins that we just looked at, they're all the exact same coins, but this time, I'm not going to read them all out. You can see that on your screen yourself. And if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but you can go look at the research and look at the prices from the previous lows in the last bull run up to the high of the last bull run, and you can see the gains that all these different coins had. Now, I'm not suggesting for a millisecond that we're going to see those sort of gains in this next bull run. In fact, I'd almost guarantee that we're not going to see anything like this in the next bull run. But it's definitely some hopium to think, well, hang on. And these are some of the biggest, obviously, Bitcoin going up 2,000%. And that's a pretty decent bloody investment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, anyone that got into Shiba Inu early on, yeah, good on you. Well done. Fantastic. I mean, I've heard lots of people apparently became millionaires as a result of it. If you can find a coin that goes up 153 million%, good on you. Is that million?
Yes.
Yeah, million. Like,
where was a lot? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, $50 could have made you a millionaire if you got in at the right time. I'm not suggesting for a millisecond that Upland's going to do that for you, because I'm not saying it can't, but I wouldn't believe it. I'd eat my own hat. All right. So just to add to that, so again, I asked ChatGPT to summarize the current market cap of Sparklet with our main competitors. And this is what it said. At the latest data comparison, the current market capitalization for Sparklet versus Gala, Sand, and Mana. Sparklet has an approximate market cap of $12 million. Now, in crypto world, 12 million is nothing. Absolutely not. We're not even going to be on anyone's radar just yet. We'll start getting there when you start seeing percentages going up, whatnot. But where Gala is 520 million, Sandbox is 630 million, and Decentraland 590 million. So just think about those figures yourself and think, hang on, we're already a better platform than those three combined, I think, in my personal opinion.
Yep.
We've got some improvement we can do. But so on average, ChatGPT says we're 40 times, well, they're 40 times greater than us. So for us just to get to the same level as these platforms, we've got to increase by 40x just to reach their level. And
so I think there's a lot of potential baked in there almost, isn't there?
Massive potential. And this is what I was just screaming from the top of my lungs last week about when people were upset that they couldn't access BitGet. I'm like, you guys are not looking at the bigger picture. You have no clue what you're upset about. Yeah, okay, fine. You can't get some prize. And anyway, we're not going to go there. You can't get some access to certain things. But for the bigger picture, this news is so huge. You're just not looking at, you're not comprehending it. And it was doing my head in that people just, anyway, well, not everybody. There were some people out there. I mean, one of them's in our chat today. KO was really good about looking at the bigger picture and explaining how this is great for Upland.
Yep.
Did I go backwards again? Yeah, I think I went backwards again. All right. So for the record, Sand, Mana, and Gala are available on Binance Exchange. Number one world exchange in the world. All three of them can be bought there.
Yep.
Also, the other two, Sand and Mana, can be bought on Coinbase. Now, Coinbase is the one that I really want to see Upland on, or Sparklet on, because I think that would be the best result, even though it's not a cheap exchange. I think that'd be a massive result for Upland. But if Upland makes enough noise, and it's not them going to those websites or those exchanges and saying, put us on there, if we start producing enough action just with our coin, these sites are going to want to put us on there because they're going to be missing out on the money they can make from the coin. So, so Upland, obviously, its goal would be to get onto these exchanges because that's what's going to catapult them a lot. They don't have to. We don't have to be on these exchanges to get up there, but it would be a massive. This is another reason as to why you should be bullish, because if this does happen, it's going to be a huge catapult for it.
Nice.
So I think I've built up a reasonable enough case to explain, and I'm certainly not saying, sell the house, throw your money in it, because no, we don't know what's going to happen. No one can predict the future. Upland could crash and burn tomorrow for all we know, and that's part of the problem. We are 100% reliant on Upland to continue developing and growing and creating that demand for Sparklet. So, and without that, we're screwed. So, is the future bright for us? Absolutely, it is. I don't need to say anything more than that.
Yep.
That's an old saying in the trading world. If you can't see it, it's when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own, you buy more. Oh, well, I didn't read it properly, but it says it. And I think
you get the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been a saying for as long as there's been any sort of trading or anything like that. So it's not financial advice. Obviously, you don't spend money, you can't afford all that, yada, yada, yada. But honestly, I've never been more excited about owning and being involved in a coin in such an early stage as Sparklet. To say that that 40x just to get to their level does not even, I had it in the comments there, does not even take into account what the bull run can do next season.
Yep.
So the 40x is just to get to the level today. And by the time we get to that level, they're probably 5x on that zone anyway, which is a 200x for us. So to say that we can't 100x it's to say we can't do it. It's ludicrous. Of course we can do it. I'm not saying we will, and I'm certainly not looking at that as a target. I'm looking at a target way lower than that to make a difference in my life personally.
Yes.
So anyway, that's I just wanted to put that out there because that's where I see Sparklet and why I think that the news that's happened in the last week or so and the developments that Upland have done in the last 12 months and why it's so good. Did I stop it? Yeah, I did. Of course, there's still a lot of ifs, ands, or buts to go in there. We are at the mercy of Upland a lot. But the potential, it's so huge. And I think people are missing that point big time.
Yes, well, I very much appreciate you putting all that together, mate. I think that's a good insight, especially the historical data. Like, how often do you say people that are bogged down in charts scroll out, have a look at the bigger picture? The only kind of situation that I could fully appreciate, except to kind of play devil's advocate, if you were one of these people that you haven't liked the direction that Upland's gone, you're
100%.
totally burnt out with it, you want to move on, you've sold all your properties, you've got, you've bought Sparklet or you've put hundreds of hours in to grind it and you want to get out, you want to be done with it, then I suppose you could be a bit dissatisfied with the current price, but you're just going to either cut your losses or you wait.
How's that any different from 90% of the retail that get in at the top of the bull market and then what the price goes? It is absolutely no different. There's not a scrap of difference. And to try and argue that, and I don't know that anyone is arguing, but to try and suggest that Upland should be doing something different or the price should be much higher, we've been paying a certain price, it doesn't work like that. It never has, never will. Where we all voted, I assume everyone, the vast majority of us voted to become a cryptocurrency. The reason being because of the potentials I've just outlined tonight. But unfortunately, that goes along with that is the rest of the market. Not everything's good news. There is bad news that goes along with it. We are at the mercy of the markets now, so there can't be ups if there isn't downs. It is a roller coaster ride for a reason. Here's hoping the rest of us that the roller coaster turns out to be a good one over the next 18 months or so. I'd say 18 to 24 months.
Yes. Yes, it is a roller coaster rolling through the wild, wild west. Absolutely.
100% it is.
All right, so we're going to move on. It is the first of the month, and that means that I should say, have some Midtown Terrace giveaways for all of the residents. So if you're not a Midtown Terrace resident and you want to be, don't forget that I will endeavour to eventually get my little list together now that everybody's helped me out working out the prices, but I've just been absolutely smashed beyond belief this week, so haven't had a chance to get anything done. But those of you that are residents, thank you very much. And we got some giveaways, and we do have one extra new Tier 2 member or resident. Shout out to Wild Jasmine. She's the only new Tier 2 resident, so she gets the 20,000 UPX straight off the bat. I don't even have to roll the wheel for that one. These are the current Midtown Terrace residents. I'll do a shuffle here, and we're going to go in biggest prize order and work our way down. So the first one is for 50,000 UPX, and that goes to Finsky might have it. No, Hire. And that's going to be interesting because I haven't heard or seen Hire for a very long time. He was one of the OG data analysts and, setting up bots and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm going to send him the 50,000 and might just get him to come back and say, hey, why'd you send me that? You never know. Start a conversation. That's kind of what it's all about. This next one's for 25,000 UPX. And speaking of somebody who hasn't been around for a while, is it EH or is it flipped over? No, Boggers. Congratulations, Bogdansky. Been around for a very long time. So we'll zoink you out of there. Shuffle, shuffle. Next one is for 15,000 UPX after fees. And that goes to, look at this. All these old names coming out of the woodworks. N36C, I believe, N36C might have been the very first person that I interviewed about 3.5 years ago, if you wanted to dive back in the channel and check that one out. Back when I absolutely didn't have a clue what the hell I was doing. Not that I have much of a clue nowadays. And
Or
the
you
next
could do
one's
an-
for 10,000 UPix. What was that?
Or you could do an updated interview.
Yeah, maybe. They might get him out of the woodworks. Bloodless, he's been around for ages too. Congratulations, Bloodless. 10,000 on the way for you. And the next one is for a mystery map asset. And that goes to... Oh, Hawaii Fish just missed it. Hawaiian Fish, Stefner, I believe. Stefner, congratulations. And like I said, I don't have to roll the tier 2 wheel because it's just Jazzy Jazz hanging out there all by a lonesome. All right. So yeah, and that's a reminder too. Don't forget to pay your venture dues. And I'm going to write that down my bloody self too, because one of these months I'm going to forget. And then you go and you find out everything's closed up. All right, moving on to QIPS. We've got 4 QIPS this week. Remember that if you have any questions, insights, provocations, or statements about Upland that we could cover on the show, there's a link to a Google form in the description. Make sure you include your in-game name in your submission, and if we use it, you win yourself some kind of prize. Again, someone has sent through a couple of great QIPS, but they didn't include their in-game name. I think that's about 5. If that was you, as I said last week, and you can DM me with what it was all about and it matches, I'll fix that up. Otherwise, I'm just going to start using them for free, and you're going to get nada. First up tonight, we've got what is essentially a public service announcement from Laban. He says, just a reminder that everyone should enable 2-factor authentication and keep their crypto wallet safe and not connect it to SHIT that can auto drain it now that Upland is more exposed. Now, Swally, you and Elslack kind of went over that on your latest episode.
Yeah, we did. So unfortunately, probably the
us,
most common scam out there is people connecting their wallet to untrusted websites, whether by accident or because they've just been duped by a fake site. There was one that was exactly built like Uniswap that looked exactly the same as Uniswap some few years back, where people would Google Uniswap. It would be the first result that came up. They wouldn't think twice, click on it, connect their wallet, and then wonder where everything went. There's plenty of other sites. The most common way they do it these days is to drop a coin in your account, so in your wallet. So I think the BNB chain's probably the worst for it, but there's a few others where you'll just have this mystery coin show up and you're like, oh, what's all this about? And you look it up and it might have some sort of value. You go, I have to connect to such and such website to get that value. Chances are it's all a scam. You don't get anything for free unless you know about it, such as Sparklet. So you've got to be double, triple, quadruple, positive about everything you're doing, to the point where I argue that you should just have multiple wallets. I've got 6 different MetaMask wallets that I use for different things, and if I've got one major NFT type project or a game with a whole heap of value in it, I won't use that for anything else other than that project. Just for that safety, so that way, worst case scenario, if I get one account hacked, I'm not losing all of them.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good insight when you were talking that through. Yes,
really is a lot. Crypto really is a wild west, and if people start stuffing around on sites like Uniswap, it can be, if you've not done it before, you don't know what you're doing, it can be a real nightmare, unfortunately.
Yes, back in the old Telegram ICO days, I used to have a lot of fun keeping the scammers busy, and I even managed to reverse scam a scammer once. That was a bit of fun. Managed to reverse scam a bit of Ethereum out of poor old mate that was trying to scam me. So, yes, there is no shortage of scammers in that space. So, check what is it? Make your list and check it twice and all that sort of cool stuff. All right, thank you for that, Laban. Next up, we've got from Maui. Now, this is a horrifying suggestion from Maui. She had a thought from, now this is funny, I laughed at this. She says, I had a thought from the chat about Life and Swally's dead cat. You remember that one, Swally? Would be cool if in the future it was possible to arrange weddings or similar real-life ceremonies in-game, with the effect that after the ceremony, you could co-op with the other player on another level. And she also says it should possibly be a way to get divorced too, though. Are you trying to tell the band something there, Mary? What are you trying to say here? What do you think about
I'm-
that? Marriages and divorces in
I'm
Upland.
lost on what the dead cat's about. I maybe refresh my memory. Do you know what that is? What the reference is?
Oh, I think that was we're talking about. Weren't we talking about putting tombstones on your property if somebody passes? And I made up some scenario. What about poor old Swally's dead cat, and Swally's distraught and he wants to have a little plaque to remind himself? Or I forget exactly where it was. It was just some random bloody thing.
I've got a
Yeah.
bunch of other bands, tombstones, which are on my totems. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
seeing any information about them at the moment to suggest when they're going to come back to life. So they're going to stay there in their rest in peace spot. But
Yes.
I don't remember the cat part. No. So
Yeah, it was
please,
just some weird, stupid thing. I talk a lot of shit. And Laban's dropping W2Fs in chat. Maui's laughing at him, and they're on holiday. So hopefully we haven't stirred up a whole drama.
is there a place called? No.
That's funny. Yeah, weddings and divorces. Who knows? The sky is the limit. But just don't hold your breath. Next up, we've got a provocation. What is essentially a provocation from Angry Ursia, who says, "Wow, some serious Sparklet just been thrown out there lately. Seems crazy all these months. 10 to 60 Sparklet rewards, 2K to 5K rewards for chief executives and master builder stuff were massive. Now 20K and 60K thrown around. It's madness," he says. He's loving it, but talk about FOMO-induced anxiety. Thoughts?
I mean,
So
I wasn't going to touch on this at all this week because I figured we already had enough and it's gone long enough. But since you brought it up,
Yep.
As I said, on one hand, people have been posting how much Spark they've been dropped and going, "How good is this? It's freaking awesome!" And then the next minute, whinging about the current price. The two are related. Like, I mean, you show me any market, any crypto, any what do you call it, commodity, any security, even your local housing market. If your town or your area suddenly had an increase of supply of houses or a decrease in supply of demand, what's going to happen to the prices? And
Yes.
we've just seen something like, I mean, I'm assuming that, like, for example, Big A's is all 100% bought Spark. So therefore, if he got 4x his 1,000 Spark, there's a crap load of extra Spark floating around just in one player. Times that by all the players, there's upwards of 4 times the supply overnight. How is that ever going to be a good impact? And this goes against everything I was just saying positive about the future of Sparklet. This is the other side of the coin, saying, you know, if Upland keep doing this is a step in the wrong direction. I honestly don't think they should have compensated anybody for any Spark. We all bought the top. Shit happens. Move on. Look at the future. All this extra drop, I think, is just absolutely diluting the market to a level that it's going to cost us 4 times or more to build everything anymore. So ultimately, you're going to end up with the same result. It's going to take just as long to build, but new players are going to find a crap load harder to get Spark to build because it's going to take 4 times longer to treasure hunt the same amount to build, which is why I partly think the treasure hunting's dead. I'm absolutely 1000% against all these drops. Even if I was to get the same 4x drop for my treasure hunting, which I know I'm not, I'd rather nobody got any drops than everybody get 4 times what they currently got, or expect the price to continue dropping, and it will. I'd be surprised if the price of Spark over the next 3 to 6 months doesn't drop below a cent. I really will. But again,
I've said that several times. Yeah.
I mean, I would argue that there's been enough players that have stayed at least in the loop in the game. If they don't play the game, sold everything else out, but couldn't get rid of their Spark, now can. So the price is always going to dump. Now, how much extra Spark these players get, and they just want to sell too. Like, there's only so much people are going to want to sell. The selling is going to stop at some point. I would suggest that the vast majority of current players and people that have received these large Spark are going to use their Spark and maybe sell it in the future when it's a much better value. But the drops, they're just not good for the game. There's no drop in the history of anything that's good other than for publicity are good. And Upland, I shake my head. Like I said, you've done some fantastic stuff last week, and then you've just turned around and just shit the bed multiple times since. And in my opinion, that's what
gets the. Yeah, sorry. Finish your thought.
I'm just saying, in my opinion, it's only my opinion because everyone's going to have different opinions on it. But if I understand how the thing works, I mean, there's been no more money put into the price of Spark, so the market cap of Spark has just been given out for free. So the value of Spark, the whole market cap hasn't gone up 4x, but the supply has. You do the math of what that means per coin.
Yes, and I had it up before. BMTech has said if we want Sparklet to increase in price, we all should be contributing to growing the community of active players, word of mouth, helping new players, etc. The more active players, the more demand, and that feeds into Swali's point. Like if you don't like the price, perhaps getting out there and spruiking here, there, and everywhere that it's doom and gloom and it's a scam, probably not in your own best interests. So, I guess the great unknown, though, is we all know that a massive Sparklet hours rebalancing is coming. I guess that's probably the great unknown, that we just don't know how that's going to affect it. And maybe once that, and you've said this with LSLAC, once that does kick in, we might be all thinking, well, crap, even though I've got all this stuff for free, I still don't have enough Sparklet to do what I want to do. So, yeah, it is a bit of a mystery on how that's all going to play out. All right. Thank you very much, Angry Ursia. And last but not least, we've got a question from 6week6. He says, during the Umbrella Boy interview, it was mentioned that some players won't travel to get an ornament or a map asset. He wonders if delivery will become an available service in the future. Hopefully bloody so, mate. Hopefully bloody so.
This has been something that's been on everyone's radar for how long now? I mean, it's happened to me twice where I've wanted to buy something, jumped on the plane straight away, get halfway there just for it to be bought by someone else. The fact that you can't even buy something and have it on hold or reserve is a joke. I mean, we can now teleport across the bloody the planet to go to a bloody city release, which in itself is an absolute joke. But we can't buy something online like the 90s, like something that was developed 30 years, or probably even longer than that, really, with telephones and stuff. But yeah. I mean, we could bitch about this all day long. We're not going to get anywhere.
I'm just pulling up. Let's see if I can show this. Where are we? Screen share. Now, this come up on X again. Well-known player Kachow, he said here, I love manufacturing map assets in Upland Me using my Sparklet. The latest addition at Blurry Beast Enterprises is the Nature Calls Porta Potty. I need to get these things moved to my Metaventures and set for sale. So this is kind of from the manufacturing side of things, the UGC content creators. It's very easy to create all these things. Well, it's very easy to create them once they've been approved and they're in your factories. But the process of actually then going on and moving them, automated paid delivery system for those, yes, please. I think I replied, showing some of the horror that I've got awaiting me with some of the stuff that I have to move as well. So yes, very much needed, would be very much appreciated. And while I'm up on X, I did find this as well. If you are looking for a Sizzle season ornament, I exclusively use and recommend Umbrella Boy's Eye series. And yeah, this is the one here, Swally, the Eye Artifact.
Yeah. So they're all each different one. So each different one's a different season, is it? Okay. I need to work out what I do and don't have. I don't really put that much effort in.
Yeah, different themes, this, that, and the other stuff. 10 USD, 25,000 UPEX, 333 total mints available only at the Eye showroom at 17273 Woodbine Ave in Detroit. Now, we did have a good chat about why he's only got one showroom. Pretty interesting, all that he went in, the lore and the thinking behind all that. If you haven't checked that one out, definitely worth doing so.
Another fantastic interview. I'll say another fantastic interview. You've been killing it lately with these interviews, and I'm not just trying to blow wind up your ass. They've been fantastic. Umbrella Boy, fantastic interview. Absolutely love the fact that he puts little Easter eggs in his builds, and as a result, my light went off. I was doing something for LSLAC this week, and as a result, we've chucked a couple of little Easter eggs into it. I'd already started doing something along that line without realizing it was an Easter egg to begin with. Like every build that I do has got a little Swally sort of spin on it. I'm not going to go into it here or now or anything like that, but yeah, I love the fact that he does that, and I hope more creators do that because those sort of things can be fun.
Yes, well, I have been, I'm just, as I said, I'm a knucklehead just chugging along. I like having these chats with people. It's a lot of fun to do. I have I am putting in a lot of work trying to source cool people to chat with. Unfortunately, the person that I had scheduled for this weekend show had some family commitments come, so that's had to be rescheduled. But I have an old faithful has jumped in to join me for a chat. It'll be good to catch up. So that's all I'll say on that one at this stage. So yeah, definitely hoping to bang some more out because they're fun to do. So
And if
as long as
nothing
they're
else,
fun to do, I'll keep doing them.
yeah, and if nothing else, I just love hearing different people's stories and takes on the game because obviously I've played this game one way for 2.5 years, and the way I play is not going to change. But I still love to see how different people have different perspectives. I mean, some people have been playing twice as long as me with half the value, but you know, everyone plays differently, and that's not a bad thing that they are or anything like that. It's just like Mesme's way of playing is entirely. I mean, I buy and hold. I flip almost nothing. I mean, it's a little bit different at the moment because I'm selling my Queen's Web, but even then, I'm not really pricing it to sell, walk out the door. I sell on average one a day. But it's just, I love hearing all these different stories of how different people play the game and what they want to get out of the game, stuff like that. So if you haven't caught them, people, get onto them because they are great interviews and meeting different people and seeing them for the first time. I mean, obviously, an Umbrella Boy, it's a name I've seen in the community for quite some time, but not met him. Obviously, I still haven't met him, but at least if I saw him now, I know who he is. And fantastic interview. Just a long list. They're just getting better each week.
Thank you, mate. All right, so congratulations, or thank you very much to Laban, Maui, Angry Ursia, and 666. You've all earned yourself 10,000 UPX after fees. And yes, if you were one of the people or peoples that sent through those QIPS without your in-game name in, and you can hit me up and somehow let me know that was you, I'll fix you up. And yes, link in the description if you've got something you want to drop in there for us to chat about, as a very easy way for you to earn some UPX. Like I said last week, 6 he grinds 10,000 UPX out of me each and every week because he's just banging them out. Lots of great questions coming there.
Yeah, exactly.
Live participants, don't forget to drop the hashtag Moon so you can go in the participants wheel. I did check before, we had 13 live participants at some stage, and there's 13 hashtags in there. So that does appear to be working. Keep in mind, I don't believe that works for the StreamYard one. So if you want to do that, do it on the YouTube link, please. All right, and that brings us over. Speaking of Mesme, this week's Getting to Know Community Members segment, care of Mesme and the other members of the Dynamic Node Builders team. They're featuring fellow quasi-Australian. Now, I don't know how to say this name. It's QAPM. I don't know if it's Quapum. You got any insights on that, Swally Man?
No,
Quapum, I'd say.
If it's who I'm thinking of, I've only ever chatted to him in game. Like, I'm not even in Discord. So
yes,
I've got nothing.
Well, I guess it was Quapum. It'd be QUA. So we'll go with Quapum. Apologies if that's completely butchered it, but that's what we're running with. So Quapum is currently an executive with a net worth of just over 25.7 million UPX. It's got 555 properties, 28,950 Sparklet, but keep in mind that's the old UPX land data. It's probably been changed since then. His home residence is in the Cosme Velho neighborhood of Rio, which I believe they were screaming up the neighborhood ratings charts the last time we were looking at those. And let's have a bit of a sneaky peeky at what he's got going on in his bloody progress data thing. So where are we up? Scroll up there. Yeah, to what's he got in his bank? Well, he's not going to do much damage in Paris. 45,000 UPX.
Nice block explorer though. Nice. I'm jealous.
Yes, very cool. Gold Sparklet logo.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
So what I got here, number of properties, fairly linear. Big jump back in. What's that? End of January 2022. Bit of action going on there, and then steady as she goes. Bit of a drop off around. What's that?
Yeah,
April
drop off in
2023.
Drop off in properties, but not mint value. So I'd say it's more upgrading to better properties.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did too. Getting rid of the trash and putting it into treasures. Properties,
the line
net worth
doesn't
graph,
show
and net worth graph very carefully.
Yeah, I'm saying that
very
those
close.
don't show the drop off at all.
Yeah. A little bit there right at the end, a bit of a casual one, but then a big jump. So he could have been stacking some UPEX and then made a big play.
For a city release, yeah.
Bit of a jump there. Yeah. Property's net worth is above the mint net worth. I believe he's associated with that node project. So that's a pretty, if you're established in a node project and the difference between your property's net worth and your mint net worth is only that small amount, you're doing pretty well.
Yep.
So yes, all right, let's jump on over and check out his DMB responses. In-game name QIPS, as I said, Uplander since January 2021. So it's been around since before the Spud Wars time. Been to Vegas, yes. Famous fact about where you live. Dormant volcanoes abound. Bucket list, visit Cosme Velho. In real life, tattoos, no. Getting celebrity you know the most about, George Orwell. Cool. Guilty pleasure, picnic bars. Chocolate, I'd imagine. Pet peeves,
Yes.
garden pests. Picnic bars in the pool, they're no good. If you could start a charity, skill building for underprivileged, good one. What we never do again, treasure hunt in LA.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Most important thing you own, a passport, nice one, and 3 Uplanders you chat with regularly. Quibar, my gosh, the names on these. Papa Vegano and
and
look at that.
BK.
Bieli Kivitok. BK. Speaking of butchering names.
Yeah, so
very good.
What doesn't say there, and I think he was born here. I'm not sure. I think he was born here and moved over.
Born in America.
Back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Raised in Sydney, I believe, as his adopted hometown sort of thing.
Anyone that likes the local football in Australia is a Dragons fan.
Yep.
They're not doing much better than my Tigers, but it is what it is. He's got enough to gloat on me. But yeah, good. We've had a few chats. I can't wait to see if he gets interviewed by you and how that goes.
Yes. All right. If you'd like to get yourself involved in what the DMB's got going on, or if you want to get involved in that specific Spotlight series, then click the link to the DMB Discord server. It's in the description, or just find Mesme, say good day, and tell her that the UDU podcast sent you. You know what I did? I was so enthralled with your Sparklet segment, I just completely skipped over. We got a city release coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or in a few hours.
We're an hour 50 into the podcast, an hour 50 into an hour podcast, and we haven't even spoke about a city release in literally 4 hours. Let's just keep it that way. We all know what's happening. We don't need to know anymore.
Well, there's a bit to unpack. There's a bit to unpack. Yes.
I haven't done research, so I need to do that.
Well, I've got something especially for people like yourself who haven't had a look at it yet. Now, this is something super duper appreciated for me. Like I said, I'm getting up at stupid AM. Now, one of the things I typically do if I'm getting up at stupid AM, which is usually only 10, 15 minutes before everything goes green, is I'm on a mad scramble to find the list of neighborhood prices. Because if you only want one property for a showroom, like I tend to focus on, well, obviously, if you don't care where that is, you want to get the most up squared bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm.
That information is all fully available, very much thanks to the Banana Man and the analytic assassins which is Dejark and the team over there. So if you can see this, there will be a link to this tweet in the description, or you can just go and check at Assassins WEB3 and you'll be able to find this. They have put together the entire base prices for all of the Paris release tomorrow. So there you go.
I am blown away by how much Dejark does for the community. It is just, she does so much for this sort of stuff, and they've been on the money with some of the stuff they put out in the past. And on top of that, for the UGC, she is an absolute angel with all that sort of stuff, which obviously I've been involved in recently. My hat. If I ever meet her, she's drinking free off me all night because she is just amazing. I mean, most of the UGC community is, but she's next level.
I agree, and you will be sad to know that she was the one that I was booked in to talk to this weekend, but she had something come up, and we've had to reschedule that for a later date. So
good things.
We'll get there.
We have to wait. That's all good. One day
Yes.
soon,
So
eventually,
what a-
maybe. Sorry, I got to chuck. Yeoman's not here. Chuck it in there.
Yes. Shout out to Bueller Man. Absolutely. So what do we got here? If I'm after a showroom size property, what do we want here? We want to be looking at Porty St. Martin, 681 UPX. That's probably the lowest. Oh no, there we go. St. Vincent de Paul. There's plenty to avoid here. I don't want to be going over to St. Thomas de Aquin, or however you say these names. So yeah, this information, this is super crucial. It doesn't have the property counts, which is interesting as well. I know sometimes you get
That's
this
because I haven't released
list.
them.
Yeah, sometimes you
What?
get this list and the really low price ones, but there's only like 40 of them, and you think, well, there's no point going for that one. I'll go for the one where there's 200 of them.
See, only the properties they've sold so far show up on the map, so that's why they don't know what the numbers are. So until that happens, which I assume can't be far away, and then there'll be a mad scramble to get those property counts figured out, which I'm assuming will be on the blockchain. But yeah, at the moment, it looks very sparse, and I can show you that France or Paris does not look that sparse when you go there. It's a little bit more squishy than that.
No, I can imagine. So what did we say? Yeah. What did we say when we ran the markets before? It was 28,000 and change on the floor, isn't it? Let's see if that's moved any. Oh, it's actually dropped. Look at that. Yep. People are trying to get some liquidity before they kick off.
Well, I'd argue that there'll be people that either
So
bought
what's
the
your plan,
multiple
Smiley Man?
packs. I would argue that there's people that either bought
Yep.
multiple packs and picked the best property and put the rest up for sale, best launch pad, so to speak.
Yeah.
In the hope to make some sort of profit out of it or get their money back type thing. I don't know exactly what my plan is. Like I said, I don't think it's changed from last week, where I'll probably have a look at the other good people's research, which obviously I don't take as gospel, but at best hope, try and snag a street that they've suggested might be a collection. If it's not, if it misses, well, I've got my city collection. I'm happy. I don't think I've got 2 million in the bank. I don't think I'll be spending much of it, but then who knows? FOMO kicks in and you're in a certain area and you're like, oh, this has got to be a collection surely, and you just don't know. So but I think I'm not going to be like you and want to get a showroom in every city, but I do want to get into structural ornaments on a pretty heavy scale in the future. So any major city, I'm trying to get a showroom. So I dare say I'll be looking in the same vein as you and looking for some big property that's cheap for that as well. So that's probably my two things, maybe a street and then big property. And after that, I'm probably not going to go too crazy.
Yes. Well, it looks like I'm destined to be out in Samurai Aquatics land, stuck in the bottom left corner there. Have to see if that's always the case. We'll see how she goes. I was just doing the numbers on my math here. I got 2.14 mil. What do we got? We got a 10 o'clock drop and a 1, so I get another 16. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit short of my 2 mil because after fees, after I get those prices down, that's 200K almost to ship out. So still be able to do a bit of damage. My plans this evening are to get, well, early in the morning tomorrow. As I said, I am going to try and get up and live stream that too. So if you're kicking around, jump on over and laugh at me being a grumpy old tired bastard. But I want to get a decent showroom size property in the 500 to 800 up squares range. A couple of similar properties close by as kind of storage properties, and then you get the generic kit collection as well. So 3 there, and then I'm just hunting for stuff to flip for USD. That's pretty much. I'll just run out my entire balance and get some USD flippers because Daddy's got some bills to pay.
Whole balance, nice. No, I think I'll keep mine. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I could purchase a large property, another factory for structural ornaments, if and ever I get anything approved. I'm still on a duck egg in that department. No rejections recently, which is a good thing, I guess. I don't know. No news, good news, is it?
Yes.
So I don't know what's happening in the UGC world. If this is, I mean, it's been well over a month for the initial ones, so it seems to take longer than I was expecting. But I don't know. It is what it is. Although Elsack did say earlier he got his racetrack today. So that was only about a month or 6 weeks after it was finished building. So Yeah, better late than never.
Yes.
I haven't checked
Very
if
good.
mine's come through. I built mine and I was like, the race is on. Mine's built. It only got built a week ago, so I can't complain yet. But I was going to be so funny if mine got approved before his. I don't think that's the case.
Oh, gosh. Rub it in. Yes.
Oh, I would have.
Yeah. That's the other thing with tonight too. I don't believe I've ever done a city release on a device that's not my phone. So obviously, if I'm live streaming, I'll be predominantly doing it on my son's laptop. So who knows? It might have crashed and burned too. So
all right. Well, I mean, I'm sure you're really aware of this because you've been playing this game for a crap load longer than I have. But make sure you turn everything off. Anything that can slow it down, turn it off. And that's everybody. Go in your settings, turn everything off that can be turned off, including markers, FSA, the lot. I mean, if you're in Paris, you don't need FSA anyway, so turn that off. If you're in Saint Denis, you will need FSA because 80% of them are. And if you're not an FSA person, but yeah, turn it all off. You restart everything you can do to try and reduce that drag. We're at a big enough disadvantage with the ping as it is. You don't need anything else slowing you down.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it handles it. As I said, my proper laptop would probably handle it pretty well, but I'm on the son's one for a few more weeks yet.
Minting's not high demand. It shouldn't be too bad.
Right, we'll see how we go. All right, so we'll catch up again to the notes. So we're at the giveaways time, more giveaways. So in last week's weekly challenge, you had to get yourself in the contest channel within the NBA server and let us know your thoughts on the release of Sparklet into the wild west of the crypto markets. And we posed the question: have you made any moves yourself yet? Why or why not? Everyone's going to go, who entered is going to go on the wheel for a chance to win 10,000 UPX after fees and also the 5,000 UPX bonus. And not only that, of course, you'll also go in the running for the second Epic Beach Sunbed and Beach Ball set, care of show sponsor Wanderer 1976 and his Upland Metaventure series, Neo Decor showrooms, and factories. So I believe if I can press the right button, we can do that now if it doesn't crash and burn. So this first one, this is going to be for the 10,000 UPX. And that goes to weekly challenge. Angry might have got another 10 out of me, or has it got to jab? Angry, well done. Angry Ursia.
I just realized a problem in my schedule. I usually enter your competition after I do the numbers for you. Thus, I haven't entered your competition. Yes. That's not good. I need to come up with a new schedule.
You better work that out, eh? Now, let me just, while I'm there, I'll be rude and see if that's the right one. Yes, all right. Not all those names. I'll get this ready. Not just yet, but we can stay there. We have the 5,000 bonus as well. This week, the bonus. Did Jabna Media just miss that? Is that who it was? Somebody just missed it. Bonus 5,000 goes to Jabna Media Hot Corner, who said, I figured the chances of getting a solid centralized exchange out of the gate were slim. When the list came out, I was impressed and excited. Since I am an American, I couldn't do anything with the available CEXs. When Uniswap came out on day one, I just had to pick up a few. So I bought about 150, bridged them over to Upland and put them to work. If the price drops to a nickel or so, I will buy some more. My Sparklet that is in-game will stay there. Again, I was impressed with the quality and availability of the exchanges out of the gate, and Swally, you were very much in agreement with that sentiment as well, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me go back and find, where's that Angry Man? Angry Ursia said, if it drops low enough, I'll buy a chunk of Sparklet on the exchange. I want to take advantage of these massive spark drops and remain capable of completing buildings on my own in reasonable time. I suspect the imminent changes will put building solo even further out of the reach for newbies. Might leave some on the exchange in hopes of a bounce and possibly sell to net myself back to zero cost.
I'll comment on that one. If it drops, what do you mean by if it drops enough? Like, how much more do you want it to drop? I can promise you, if Sparklet goes up 50, 100, 200x, whether you bought it at 1 cent or 3 cent, ain't going to make much difference.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have a little bit more if you bought it at 1 cent, but you don't know that it's going to drop to 1 cent. And then if it just shoots up from here, then you miss out altogether. It's, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if it drops more, if you ask me, we're in a buying zone. End of story. That's my personal advice, opinion.
Yes, that's why I'm a dollar cost averager at heart.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of evolved to in my crypto journey.
Exactly the same. I don't try and trade. I just buy.
Yes. All right. And that brings us over to the sponsor ones. As I said, Neo Decor Showrooms and Factories. Thank you very much. What do we got? A beach sunbed and a beach ball as well to give away. I'll do a shuffle. And then this one goes to... I was going to say, don't tell me Angry's got another one. CERN S4, I believe he might be still in chat unless you've fallen asleep. CERN S4, congratulations to you. All right, and I will, all of the UPEX that's been won on tonight's show, I'll get that out as soon as I can tonight before the Paris release. Normally it takes me a couple of days, but obviously city release makes sense to get that out into people's hands so that I don't spend it and then owe people money. So, but the map assets, that'll take me a while. So that was last week's challenge. This week's challenge, you can probably work it out. Get yourself into the contest channel within the NBA server. Let us know how you went in Paris. Did you get anything good? What's your plans with what you've got? And of course, if you sat this one out, outlining why you sat it out is also a valid entry. Once again, all participants will roll for a chance to win 10,000 UPX after fees, the 5,000 UPX bonus prize. And not only that, you'll also go in the running for the third and final Epic Beach Sunbed and Beach Ball set, care of show sponsor, Wanderer 1976, and his Upland Metaventure series, Neo Decor Showroom and Factories. I'm falling apart here. Now, this is where we go over to the live participants wheel. I'll give you one last opportunity to get your hashtag Moon in. If you've only just joined us, hashtag Moon in the YouTubes. And then I got to remember how to do this bloody thing.
You better, because I didn't write them down.
I think we're good. Yes. All right. So I got to do two things here, I believe. I got to share the giveaway tool. So hopefully you can see that. Hashtag Moon. We've had 14 entries. I believe I press this button. That's going to pick a winner. And then we go over to the wheel to see what gets done. Okay. So who's going to win it? Or who's going to play? Pamp, keeping cool. It's on a bit of a roll.
Well,
keeping
done.
Cool. Congratulations. So now we got to jump over here. And didn't you get, I think you got 15K out of me last week. Now we got to see. Hopefully it's not UPX because I want to spend it in Paris. No whammies. Mystery map asset, please.
100,000 UPX. Come on.
There was not 100K on there, thankfully. It is a mystery map asset. Thank you. Save my wallet a little bit there. Mystery map asset on the way for you, mate. All right. Let me get out of there. And go back to there. And I think that's it. Anybody else got anything to spruik or spam in chat? Nope. We good?
I apologise for all the chats that I missed earlier tonight. Obviously, I was chatting for a bit, so I missed I think it was up to 20 chats that I missed.
I got a few of them. Yeah, I was punching them in pretty regularly while you were doing that. So
if there was any questions, I missed them. I did try and go back. I didn't say anything. But I'll try and do better next time. My bad.
No, that was good, mate. You had your hands full. That was a brilliant segment. That one, especially straight out the gate to nail it like that. Very much appreciated, as I said. And don't forget to check out what Coach Funk has got going on with some of the other seed heads, August the 1st, 9 p.m. EST, for an exclusive deep dive into the seed heads NFT project roadmap. Discover the remaining NFTs available to the public and get the inside scoop on the NFTs going up for auction. Don't miss out on this opportunity to cultivate your digital dreams in Upland. Tune in and be a part of the journey. And as I said, for those of us in the Down Under or who can't be there for the live show, he is going to record it and make it available in the day or days following as well. All right. All the very best for everyone who's getting up or staying up or avoiding work or running off to the toilet to take part in the Paris City drop. As I said, what is the time now? It's fucking. Oh, I said a F word. Whoops! It's 9 p.m. our time.
I don't feel so bad now.
By the time I get all this done and uploaded, it'll probably be 10:30. I might be able to get some sleep before the alarm goes off at 1:30. Who knows? I was. What did I say to you? Maya woke me up at. Maya was driving me crazy with snoring last night. I got up at 3:00 this morning because I couldn't sleep. She was snoring her bloody head off. So.
Appreciate that.
Yes, anyhow. All right, thank you everybody for getting involved. Don't forget, check out the link to the NBA Discord server is in the description. If you aren't involved in the weekly challenges, pretty easy to get yourself on the wheel to go in the running from there. And it's even easier to get some UpX by clicking the link in the description for the QIPS, questions, insights, provocations, and statements. If you have been hanging out for some more information on the Midtown Terrace sale, I'll say it again, I will endeavour to get that done out at some stage, but this week it's just been an absolute slaughterhouse with 2 sick kids and emergency visits to physios and bloody overtime at work, staff disappearing. It's just been a horror show of a week. So I'm going to enjoy my day off tomorrow, laying on the tattoo bed, getting pummeled and prodded and poked. That'll be a bit of sweet relief from the daily grind.
Boo-hoo. Tough day for you.
Yes. All right. So where's me end of spiel thingy? All right. You know what to do. Get yourself in the NBA server and all the rest of it. If you would like to get involved in some of the chats that I get going on with any of the other podcast series, send me a DM and we can work on something. Other than that, all the best for everything that you've got going on, and we shall catch you later.